I seen a video put out by a person I recently interviewed, Sam OG, another YouTuber, and it was about the quantum ogre, right? I'm going to say something about the quantum ogre that's going to be negative in a sense, but I think I have a positive take on my approach to this. I think it's okay. It is okay. You can't. I'm not talking about making a rule, trying to tell people what to do. You can do whatever you want to do at your table. I want to make that clear. It's not about telling people what to do, but I think it's okay to have a higher standard in the hobby that puts pressure on people when they can do better. When they can do better. And I think there's nothing wrong with having a higher standard that puts social pressure on people in the hobby to do a better job, especially when things are achievable. And it's by not saying anything, what you're doing is allowing a lower standard. So a standard is being set either by saying something or not saying something, right? So let me explain what the quantum ogre is. It's pretty simple. The quantum ogre is the illusion of choice. It's like, say you had an encounter set and there's a right and left turn. So say to the right, there would be an encounter, but you have planned nothing for the left turn. But if somebody takes the left, you're simply going to have them run into the same encounter anyway. Or there's a path to what seems like towards a tower. They could turn off the path, but you're going to have them come to the tower anyway. It's an illusion of choice. The game acts like you're acting as a DM, or game master, whatever game you're running. You present a choice to players, but if they take one that seems opposite of going towards something, they'll end up there anyway. Right? Okay. I'm going to first call Quantum Ogre a lazy game master tactic. Not a justified one, a lazy one. Okay, let's start. That's my first standard set. I'm calling anyone who does Quantum Ogre lazy. Out of the gate, lazy. I will not qualify the Quantum Ogre as a technique. I will call it simply what I believe it is: laziness. Pure mental laziness. Dungeons and Dragons in many games, either by you knowing them or the game itself, offers you ways to randomize stuff in the game. You can improvise, but you could even use some of the options some games have. Say the encounter is to the right, but your players decide to go left with their characters. It is not impossible for you to improvise something else happening. It is not impossible for you to improvise something down a different path where it's not going towards the tower. In old school, we would call this the sandbox freedom option. It's setting a standard. I'm not telling you what to do at your table. You do whatever you want to do at your table. If we say nothing or we say something, either way, a standard is set. Either we say nothing and the standard is down here. You can be a lazy game master, and the encounter that's to the right, you just make the players with their characters encounter going to the left. Illusion of choice. It's not a technique, it's laziness. So I want to call it that because I want to put the standard up here. So it's social pressure on people. Not to tell them what to do at their table. That's your business, right? But if you come out to the public dialogue, so say you leave your table, what you do at your table is your business, what you and your players agree to. But if you come out to the public conversation where we're talking about it as a community, and you say you do the Quantum Ogre, Everybody in the community should be calling you lazy, not making a rule up, not making a law that you have to change, but it's social pressure. Standard is up here. And by putting a standard up here, the social pressure can cause people to make that better effort, because you can improvise. You can put a random something else in that place. You can make it not an illusion of choice, but an actual choice, right? If they go left, they're going to get something different, right? You can do that. You can predetermine stuff, but if you don't predetermine what the left choice is, you improvise. Improvises, make it up as you go. DMs, game masters are capable of doing this unless they decide to be lazy. And what I'm saying is, if some game master casually comes out to the community and says, "Yeah, well, I do the illusion of choice," that he should be pressured, ridiculed, laughed at, made fun of. Social pressure on the game master. It should be called what it is: laziness. And that is to put social pressure. And the idea is raising the bar up here. And what happens for players that are coming into our community? That puts pressure on guys to run a better game, to produce something better. And that's better for all people coming into the hobby. Because social pressure can work. So there's a number of people it's going to work on. Some people won't. Right? But some people who are openly being lazy because of a low bar set, low standard, can suddenly start doing better if they think, if I go to the public and say what I'm doing, or my players tell the community what I'm doing in my game, I'm going to be called lazy. It's not going to be called the technique I'm doing. It's going to be called laziness. And I'm going to be basically labeled as a lazy game master. I think that's perfect. That social pressure. Same thing I say this to the community. And this is where I'll actually be fair to players. Some people might get mad at me and say, well, that's wrong to do. But don't we put social pressure on players to pay attention, sit up, and play better? Oh, we do, don't we? And if they don't, do we call what they're doing a technique? Or do we call it what it is? Laziness, half-assing. And why do we do that? It's to put social pressure on them. If a player comes out and says, basically describes them being half-assed or lazy, people in the community will shame them, laugh at them, ridicule them. And that sets a higher bar, sets a better standard, puts pressure on players to play better, and is better for the overall hobby. For the people that want to run games, new people that want to run games, the pressure on players to play better makes it a lot easier for them to run the players that are going to play well. So pressure and raising the bar up is fine. You just got to remember, you can't classify that as me coming to your table and telling you what to do. That's a way of trying to dismiss social pressure you don't want to face. You just don't want to face it. No one's coming to your table and telling you how to play or how to run. So to paint that type of social pressure as people coming to your table and telling you what to do, that's a lie. And that's a way to avoid proper social pressure that players must face. So must game masters. And overall, the quality of gaming goes up with social pressure. It improves for the people entering the hobby. It improves because, well, what if the guy at home doesn't want to be laughed at by the community? Doesn't want to be ridiculed as being lazy? He'll decide not to be. And if a game master decides not to be lazy, does that benefit their players? Yes, it does. What about the social pressure on players to sit up, pay attention? If players feel pressure by that and they don't want people to know that they're going to half-ass, and they decide, even privately, just to avoid any shame publicly, to sit up and pay attention, so when they go to the public, they can say, yeah, I do this. That's social pressure working. And that's not controlling somebody. That's making them not want to be embarrassed by social pressure And what does it do? It improves the game, not just for the people they play the game with, but it even improves it for them. A game master who can improvise will have more fun, realize that they can do this stuff, they won't half-ass, and it will improve their own experience and the players playing with them. When players pay attention and sit up and they're not lazy, it doesn't just improve the experience for the other people, it improves the experience for the person sitting up and paying attention. But that's social pressure. That's not you telling somebody what to do at their table. And we got to make sure we can separate those two things. And there's nothing wrong. I think, they always say, what's the use of the community or the talking heads or the way things work out here? What's the use of the conversation? Just game. Well, I say there is some uses for the public dialogue. And one use is to put pressure on people to play the game better. It's like, hey, if you come out here bragging that you do Quantum Ogre, the rest of us should all be calling you not someone who uses a technique, because I won't classify or qualify that as a technique. We should all start calling you a lazy game master. And again, we're not controlling what you do at your table. You can still walk away from what we do and go to your table and play the game how you want. A lot of people do that when they don't want to hear certain things. They don't want to be shamed or embarrassed, right? So they'll paint what you're doing as something you're not doing. Because to say that you're telling people what to do at their table, well, that's considered bad. And what does that mean? Now they can call your good public shaming bad. Get it? It's a way to avoid the public shame of their terrible gameplay or their terrible, running, ways, right? The way they run the game. If they're terrible at running the game, they don't want to be laughed at because of that. They don't want to be called lazy when they are. So what do they do to avoid good public shaming, good public pressure in the community? They'll say that you're actually coming to the table and telling them what to do when that's not happening whatsoever.